Welcome everyone to the Mind Matters show of WESN Content Capital. I'm your host, Emily Anna Bachan, as we discuss engaging topics surrounding mental health and conflict resolution. Today, I welcome our guest, Ms. Victoria Siewnarine-Geelalsing, who is a clinical psychologist. Thank you so much for being here today with us.
Very happy to be here today.
Okay, so this week we will be discussing the topic of overcoming burnout and fostering self-care. So in this episode, we will be delving into the coping mechanisms and the work that you have in dealing with burnout in the home, in the school, and also in the workplace. So I would say, don't go anywhere to anybody who's watching us here today, right? Don't change the channel either, as you will miss out on an amazing opportunity to learn more about how you can strive to become the best you yet. So hashtag fostering self-care. So let's get right into it. Yeah, Victoria? So I want to ask, how do you define burnout? And what are the key components and symptoms that individuals would, look for when they are experiencing burnout?
I think recently burnout has been something that you hear a lot about, and a lot of people use the term burnout as an association to a type of stress, but burnout and stress are actually quite different. Whereas stress can be something that tends to motivate an individual into completing a task, getting things done, pushing towards self-care and those kinds of things.
Right.
Whereas when a person is experiencing burnout, they find that it cripples them to a point where they can't actually move forward. So they experience a significant amount of emotional exhaustion for the first part. And secondly, because of that emotional exhaustion and because of the inability to complete their task, or rather to even get their task done in a manner that they would normally be able to get it done, they start to detach. And if you're looking at workplace, then they would detach from that. If you're looking in schools, education systems, or even families, you find that they detach from whatever cycle it is where the burnout takes place. Secondary to that detachment is a cynicism about that environment as well. So for example, if it's in the workplace, then there is a cynicism about the company morals, the persons in the workplace, and those types of things. And lastly, there is that reduced performance, whereas stress may serve to motivate you into getting it done faster, getting it done better. When you're experiencing burnout, your performance level actually decreases to the point where you can no longer understand why this lower level output is coming from you, because obviously you are accustomed to producing a certain standard of output, but during these stages of burnout, you really cannot.
I see. So what you're saying is essentially persons that experience burnout, they have that decreased levels of motivation.
They do, but they also have an inability to cope with it, because burnout by definition is where they do not have the resources anymore to dedicate towards coping, managing tasks, socializing, or any of those things.
Okay. So how could individuals essentially distinguish the difference between stress and burnout?
Well, stress comes on and it tends to be more temporary, whereas burnout is persistent. So burnout is something that's going to last for a period of months. Burnout also is not something that's going to respond well to coping mechanisms. So if you're stressed out, you might take a day off, you might engage socially with your friends, you might spend a day playing video games or whatever activity you enjoy doing. Whereas if you're in a state of burnout, then you're not going to respond to those coping mechanisms that ordinarily will work for you. So you can test yourself and you can experience what it is. Burnout also affects more than just your psychological state. It also affects your physical state. So you would find that during stages of burnout, your immune system can drop, so you may actually get sick faster or easier than you ordinarily would. Your body would also take longer to recover from things like that. Your sleep will be affected. your cravings and what you want to eat will also be affected. Your energy levels, your mood, all of those things will be negatively and significantly, rather persistently affected in stages of burnout versus stages of stress.
Wow. So to viewers, look at that. We are learning so much that even when you feel sick or you don't want to get out of bed, that could be a symptom of you feeling burnout. And just to add some more context to this, how important is it in setting boundaries to prevent the burnout?
So one of the reasons why burnout occurs in the first place is because we as human beings, we tend to equate our output with our sense of worth. In other words, if I am able to achieve every single task that my boss gives me or that my school teacher gives, then it means that I'm better because I have
Right.
achieved it. Rather, if I don't achieve it, then that means I'm a failure. So we tend to equate who we are as a person, our sense of self-worth, directly to the quality of output that we produce. Now, that of course is not the case. And for the viewers looking, then you should know that your output is not equal to your self-worth. Your self-worth is at the top of what it would be for all your life with you doing nothing, and anything you can do can only add to your self-worth, but it certainly doesn't diminish your self-worth if you are unable to produce an output in any form. So for burnout, what tends to happen is because we have that perception that what we do equals how much we are worth, we tend to want to do more. And in doing more, we don't set limits. We don't say no to people. We don't say to people, I'm unavailable. I won't be able to do that. Something as simple, and in Trini culture, you know, it's carnival time. So all of the parties are about and all of the socialization is happening. And some of us are really exhausted. We don't want to go. We don't want to go to the fete, even though we already have the ticket. We don't want to go. But we may still go because there's a sense of peer pressure.
Definitely.
I have to go. I have to do this thing. But to prevent burnout, you have to be able to say no. You have to be able to pay attention to your body, pay attention to your mind and your moods, and say, if I lose that sleep, then it is not going to be helpful for me. So the cost of the ticket and the cost of the fun that I will have is not worth the damage that will be done to my psychological state.
That's right.
So setting limits firstly on tasks that you're taking or social engagements or any of those things is definitely important. Learning how to say no is the second thing that we really need to look at and pay attention to. In doing those two things, the way we communicate is very important. Because of course you don't want to tell your boss, you know, no, I don't want to do that. Right? But you can explain. If your boss adds a task to what you already have to do, you can simply restate what you already have on your plate and give a realistic deadline and say, you know, I'm probably not going to be able to get this done by Thursday this week, but maybe by Monday evening I can do it. And we all have to be able to communicate clearly, respectfully, and within reason, because of course you don't want to say, you know, I can't do this until the second week in March because Carnival, that's not realistic, right? So you want to be able to communicate realistically. And while we're talking about being realistic, you want to be able to set realistic self-expectations. So many of us believe that we're superheroes, and we may very well be superheroes, but even superheroes need to sleep, superheroes need to rest, to heal, to restore and recuperate. And you and me and the viewers, we need to be able to reconcile within ourselves that there is a limit to how much we can do. So have very realistic self-expectations. And the last thing that I would say for setting boundaries to prevent burnout is to make sure that there is a consistent exercise schedule. So, and again, realistic, right? So we're not saying
course.
an hour and a half run every day. That is unrealistic.
Yeah.
Even for the best person, it is unrealistic.
Yeah.
So you want to do something that's realistic and
Yeah.
something that you can
And tailored
maintain
for you,
consistently.
essentially.
Exactly. Yes.
Because what would work for one person may not work for the other person.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And just a last question that I want to wrap on this conversation is that how do you see nutrition and the same physical activity, like you're giving the example of taking a walk or doing a run, how can that contribute to the overall mental health, shaping a person in reducing the burnout?
Right. So psychological and physiological states are related. They affect each other greatly. We spoke a little earlier about burnout being able to affect your immunity, and that's just psychological, right? But if you're not feeding your body well, if you don't have proper diet, and if also you're not exercising and you're not moving your body, then it puts us at a state where psychological stress can have a greater impact than if we were healthy, to say, right? There are certain minerals like magnesium and vitamin D that helps our mood. And I'm not saying that if you take it alone, you're absolutely going to get rid of all depression and anxiety just by taking that. But I'm saying that it can help because it can make the body better prepared to handle those types of things. Things like eating our leafy greens that we don't like to eat. It improves our immune function. The thing is, when the body is sick physiologically, we have to pay attention to what that means. What that means is that there is a biological process that's taking place. Our hormones are affected, our gut is affected. Cortisol is the stress hormone. So when we're stressed, cortisol increases. And so we want to make sure that we give our body the things that it needs so that our organs, our blood, the oxygen can flow well. And exercise does that. Exercise helps in oxygen being able to flow through our body easily. Certain things like mindfulness and just meditation, whatever it means to you, you know, whether it's yoga or whether it's something else, those things are very important in healing and calming the brain. One of the things that I don't think we pay enough attention to when it comes to nutrition is that our brain needs healthy fats to function. And so that's the omega-3s.
Right.
But a lot of us, our diets, we're trying to eliminate all fat altogether, right? But
so looking at
there's
we
good
might,
fat
we might
and
get
there's
weight gain and all these things.
exactly, but there's good fat and there's bad fat. And you cannot eliminate fat from your diet because that's the fuel that your brain runs on. So whether it's walnuts or cashews are very fatty nuts, avocados, salmon, those types of things, you need to input those things into your body so that your brain is not going to be overwhelmed. And of course, when you exercise, you increase endorphins, and endorphins is the feel-good hormone. Exercise also reduces cortisol, which we just mentioned is the stress hormone.
Exactly.
And exercise also causes the body to rest better. And of course, when you sleep, you heal.
You get recuperation,
Yes, especially when you sleep between the hours of 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. So nutrition, certainly, because you want to create a canvas that's well to handle and manage stresses of daily life. Exercise also, because you do need to move the body and, you know, you need to get that oxygen flowing through your body so that it can function well.
Wow. So to our viewers, we are really hearing a lot about how you could overcome your burnout and fostering that self-care. So I want you all to imagine this scenario. Imagine that you are slumped over on your desk, right? Your eyes are feeling heavy. The screen is, you know, blurring before you. You ever felt like that before? Yeah, I'm sure we've all at some point have felt that way before. And the weight of, you know, your deadlines and the whole world is on your shoulders, right? And essentially, in experiencing that itself, you know, one evening you come home and, you know, you just feel a shift. You end up, you know, you stumble up on your scrolling on your phone, you're on TikTok, you know, that's a new thing now. And you end up finding out something like, oh, what is this? Young Caribbean Minds, there's a website talking about mental health and wellness and all of this. And then you end up just doing a game and you find out that, oh my gosh, I'm in the category of burnout from what happened during the day itself. And then after that, you look at some of the exercises and then you say, okay, you know what, let me take a little moment and breathe. And in the book, you just imagine yourself, put yourself in that person's shoe. And you just do the exercise of inhaling and exhaling. And that just took it on a different level where you realized, oh my gosh, I forgot how to breathe. Yeah, and that can actually eliminate the feelings of feeling that stress and that burnout and that heaviness and that load. So imagine that, you just take that one little step in inhaling, exhaling, breathing. And then, of course, if you still feel overwhelmed in that situation, you can reach out for help, yeah? To our viewers, we can reach out for help. And that's how you can survive burnout and reclaim yourself. And to our viewers, and I'm sure my guest here today can, she can agree with these questions. These are rhetorical questions I want you to think about. I want you to think about, how can you pour into others when your own cup is empty? That is a very interesting question. Like, you have to think about, okay, if I'm giving, what is going to happen to myself? And another question that we can look at is, isn't it time to give yourself the same kindness that you give to others? That is so powerful, because we tend to always be gratifying, people pleasing, and we don't look in the mirror and realize, oh my gosh, so much time has passed, and what is happening to myself, physically, emotionally, mentally. And it's so important to take care of you so that you can be able to be at your best, in any space, whether it be work, school, in the family, in the home. You have to be able to show up and be present. So I have some self-help tips, and I know our clinical psychologists would agree with me, where I'm going to share 5 tips. This is for any of our viewers that need self-help tips when you want to overcome burnout. I want you to think about, number 1, setting boundaries. I want you to learn to say no or delegate tasks when you feel an overwhelming feeling coming on. Be able to protect your time and your energy by setting clear limits about what it is you are ought to do in your workspace or even in your personal commitments. And I'm sure my guest here would agree. Number 1 thing is setting boundaries, because she spoke about that as well. Setting boundaries is very, very a healthy coping mechanism. And then the second thing you can do is practice mindfulness. And I'm just touching on these topics because our guest also mentioned where you can take a moment throughout the day and just breathe deeply and actually have that mindfulness where you are taking recognition of your emotions, simply checking in about how are you really feeling today. Ask yourself, what am I really feeling here today? Yeah? How are you feeling today, Victoria?
I'm great. Today's a good day.
I feel wonderful. I feel blessed. So practicing that mindfulness right there, it will help you to reduce the stress levels and that feeling of burnout. The third thing I want our viewers to take away from this segment today is prioritizing rest. Victoria, she spoke countless things about rest, how important it is for our bodies to recharge. And sleep and downtime, please don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty at all when you take that time to recharge, because that way you give yourself time to be at your best, right? And the fourth thing is to engage in physical activity. Our guest here also mentioned that we should be able to move our bodies. We'd become vegetables if we only sat at the desk whole day. So I want you all to take this initiative to get up, go outside, take a walk. If you have a pet, go give your dog a run, give your cat a little walk or something, right? And that will help you to engage your body and your mind. And of course, last but not least, if it is you are struggling and you feel the burnout is happening on countless occasions, connect with your support systems. Connect with people that you feel that would help you. And that could be friends, that could be family, that could be even your therapist, right? I encourage you to book an appointment. There's no shame in that, right? It's about talking about your feelings, and it's about relieving the tension that is within you. So those are some of the self-help tips that I want our viewers to, engage with. And these are some of the resources I'm just going to share where you can look for: youngcaribbeanminds.com, FindCareTT.com, Lifeline, and Shyland. There's so much more resources that you can check out that is designed to support your needs and tailored to your needs. Right? And up next, I want you all to catch us on another episode as we will continue these conversations on mental health as well as conflict resolution. Please don't miss it. See you until next time on the Mind Matters segment of WASN Content Capital. I'm your host, Emily Anna Bachan. Thank you for tuning in.